Stress takes a toll on many individuals. Listen as I share one of my poems with you. In our younger years, we played games, we had nicknames, it was fun. We would run in the sun. We were as innocent as nuns. Adulthood came, then the fun years went. Now all we think about is our bills, especially the rent. We toil so hard, no time for fun, no time to socialize, checking our clocks and watches every minute, swearing daily how badly we want to quit. Loneliness gets on the rise from our own selves. We sometimes want to hide. After a hard day's work, we go to sleep. Oh, how quickly the clock chimes and the cycle rewinds, where we move about like fast moving ants as we sweat in our pants. Many yearn to be children again, thinking it will erase the survival pain. Has your job become your enemy? Now, this is a question to be asked. Many of us find ourselves in jobs that we no longer love or we didn't even love from the beginning. Many of us would like to change, but we cannot change at this time. Some jobs are mentally stressful, some are physically stressful, some are a combination of both. Is your job one of the most stressful ones? Watch this video. By now, you must be wondering, why is your job not listed among the previous jobs that are shown as the most stressful job, 10 of the most stressful jobs? You may be wondering. However, that list would not encompass all the stressful jobs. But let us sum it up now. As the chart is showing, 10 workplace stressors. Now, many of us, as we work, our salaries are not where we would want it to be. Salaries, or as we say, remuneration. Money is the main motivator while we work. How many persons work only because they love to work? Yes, they're volunteers, but on an average, we all work because of the remuneration. That's the bottom line. We work so that we can survive, so that we can live comfortably. Okay, we can access good Medicare, good housing. We can send our children off to colleges and to schools and colleges and let they themselves experience a high standard of living. Yes, low salaries is a low blow in our world of work, pun intended. There are also other factors such as long hours, excessive workloads. We sometimes exist in an environment where there's no promotion. Where there is no promotion, one becomes dormant in their jobs. And if when you feel dormant, it breeds a level of stagnation. You're not growing. You're at one stage in your job, and that will allow your job to become uninteresting. Many times, one yearns to be part of, decision making. You may have skills that you could offer, but nobody looks at you. You're shoved aside, and you become part of a routine, doing the same thing over and over. Okay, there are organizational cultures that it just does not suit us. Sometimes there's a lack of social support, bad management practices, certain toxic relationships, working relationships at, at work, that can really promote stress on the job. Even the physical environment creates stressful situations. In an upcoming video, I'll expound on many of these topics that have, subtopics rather, that I've highlighted. I'll expound on them. But just now, I really need to look at the long hours and the excessive workloads that faces us at, at times. As was said in the poem previously, we work long hours. Long hours we work to survive. Many of us travel long distances to get to work, where we travel by buses, trains, and even planes to get to our jobs. Traveling sometimes becomes a part of the job. We get tired even before we get on the job. Sometimes we feel so drained at the start of our job, coupled with the excessive workloads that we have at times to work with. Workload is so heavy sometimes that we end up taking our jobs home. And this usually interferes with our family time. I know many persons can relate to that. Many parents have children, especially when they're small, who needs more attention, who needs more time. Sometimes our job that we take home overlaps and eats away at the family time, and this too creates stress. Imagine having to drive yourself from work, long distance from work. On reaching home, your kids are waiting on you. You're already tired. Your kids need to be helped with their homework. You need to prepare dinner. You need to prepare them for school the following day. You need to complete the work that you took home. There are so many things that are just bouncing at you, bombarding you. You feel overwhelmed. You feel tired. You feel stressed out. If you are not careful, things like this do affect your mental health, your physical health, because your body becomes so drained. To every problem, there is always a solution, and this is no exception. I now invite you to listen to Professor Chris as he conducts a discussion on how to deal with the stress of work. This can be helpful to all of us because all of us are affected in one way or the other. It doesn't matter which work we do. I mean, all work has their own stress levels. Listen as he speaks.
My name is Chris McCarthy, and I'm a professor in the Department of Educational Psychology here at UT. And I've pretty much studied stress the whole time that I've been at UT. Most recently, I've started to focus a lot on like teachers and counselors and people who are encountering demands in their workplace and trying to understand what predicts people who are at risk for stress in those workplaces. Most people expect stress almost. That's kind of the way it's supposed to be. And I think particularly in the culture in the United States, it's like you almost get the message that if you're not stressed out or not busy, there's something wrong with you. You're not doing enough, or you're not taking on enough responsibilities. I think a lot of times people will take on demands based on kind of what they think they're asked to do, or because they want to be perceived as superior, or they don't want to let their supervisors down, or they don't want to let themselves down, and they're not really honest about what they're capable of getting done in a given amount of time. On average, people will change careers several times. Not just change jobs within a career, but move from different fields. Throughout most of our history, people didn't have all these choices about their jobs. It was really kind of industrial societies that started to organize labor a little bit differently, because up until then, you did what your family did, you did what your community did, and very seldom did people have a choice about careers. They pretty much did what they were expected to do. They filled whatever role that their family or people of their background did. So the fact that we have all these different jobs, tens of thousands of jobs really, that anybody can potentially fill or move through, I think creates a lot of stress for people too, because people coming out of high school and college feel overwhelmed by, how do I get started? How do I make choices about this? And no matter what you choose, you're always kind of wondering, did I make the right choice? There were 99 other ones I could have chosen. So I think that adds to people's stress. A lot of people don't know how to recognize symptoms of stress. And so there's like physiological symptoms, which is, feeling nervous, feeling tense, changes in your appetite, bad habits like smoking, not exercising, things like that. But there's also psychological symptoms that go along with that. It doesn't matter what's objectively out there. If you perceive there to be a threat, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. You're gonna see it that way psychologically, and if you see it that way psychologically, your body's gonna react. That's pretty hardwired into us, is if we think there's a threat to our well-being, we're gonna react the same way people reacted thousands of years ago when they were being chased by tigers and bears and things like that. And it, ramps up our heart rate and our metabolism and our blood pressure to get us ready to fight off a challenge. But you can't do that in the workplace. You can't fight off your boss or your coworkers. So that's where the stress becomes harmful, and that's where it's really important to kind of recalibrate your own thinking. Communication is a big part of it. So like the more people have information about what's going on in a company and organization, I think it helps them have a better sense of control over where things are. Even if the news isn't always positive, I think the tendency to kind of hide information or try and pretend that things are better than they are kind of has an unintended effect where people feel shut out or they don't know what's going on, and so they don't feel as in control of their environment, which adds to stress. If everybody is at work worried about layoffs or downsizing, and that's who you spend most of your time with, that's going to probably add to your stress level and probably isn't going to help you out in the long run. But if you have other people who kind of help you keep perspective and help you see other parts of your life that are fulfilling and rewarding, that's probably more helpful. Also, people who can kind of anticipate demands down the road is one of the things that we have found to be very helpful in coping with stress. So some people seem to be better at anticipating where they're going to be in a few months or a few weeks or a few days, or anticipating that things are not well with their coworkers or things are not well in other parts of their life. We've called that scanning, the ability to kind of look ahead and see your environment and kind of know where the trends are. Because the other reaction that people have is kind of the ostrich putting its head in the sand and just kind of sticking with what they're doing and just hoping things are going to work out for the best until something dramatic happens, and that's often not a good strategy in the long run.